Thanks everybody for joining us today to understand and really see 5 reasons why you love Office for Mac 2011. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is a Microsoft SharePoint guy talking about a Mac? Just to give you a quick background, I've been a Mac user since 2007, and just like a lot of people in this session, I'm pretty sure you love the Mac, you love all the tools, but more importantly, you're using Office for Mac. And Office for Mac 2011 just came out a little over a month ago, not even, and there's a lot of goodness in it, but in this session I'm going to show you 5 key things that's just going to change how you use Office. So with that being said, let me go ahead and quickly give you an overview of what we're going to discuss. So in this 1-hour interactive webcast, it's going to be interactive because I'll talk about some stuff, but I'll show you a lot of good things too. You'll learn about key new features in Office for Mac, specifically enhanced navigation with a ribbon interface. And for those that are familiar with the Office ribbon interface in the Windows world, they pretty much took that capability and made it available now in Office for Mac. We'll also look at the new Entourage. Entourage is now gone. It's now called Outlook. Again, it's same name with the Windows version of Office, where they have Outlook to help you manage schedule, email, and contacts. So we'll look at that briefly and some of the key features. What's exciting to me is this third point. We'll look at this PowerPoint capability to broadcast your presentations via the web. And when I say broadcast, literally, you just have a PowerPoint presentation and you say you want to broadcast it. It'll give you a link. Anybody else can watch it just through a browser, even through their iPhone. It's pretty cool. We'll see that. We'll talk about how we visually display spreadsheets using this capability called Sparklines. I know there's been charting mechanisms in Excel that you saw before, like pivot tables and pivot charts. But in 2011, they've introduced this feature called Sparklines, which allows you to do better analysis and better trending. And then last but not the least, we'll also look at how you can collaborate better with SkyDrive and SharePoint 2010 integration within Office 2011. So a lot of good stuff, but I'll focus on these 5 things. Quick background of myself for those that I haven't met before. Again, my name is Dux Raymond Sy, and I'm a managing partner with Innovative E. We're based out of Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, Georgia. We help customers to reap the business benefits of SharePoint and everything around SharePoint. So I do that day in, day out. I wrote the book SharePoint for Project Management, and there's my contact info, and as you see at the bottom of my slide, there's my Twitter handle, and there's the hashtag for this session. All right, so let's jump right into it. We're going to cover a lot of good ground, and this kind of gives you the agenda for this hour, but I'll make sure I leave enough time to address any questions that you might have, and we'll take it from there. So let's talk about Office for Mac 2011. Office for Mac, if you don't know, I read this in a bunch of places, apparently is the biggest selling software in the Mac world. If you look at all the other software out there, Office for Mac is like the biggest seller of all, which some of us might think it's ironic because it's a Microsoft Windows product. But if you're like me, especially in your day-to-day activities, be it personal or business, Office is being used in a lot of different ways. And why is this new version better? I mean, the last version was Office for Mac 2008, and it was all right, it was good, but what makes this better? In a nutshell, I think it's going to help you work better, because personally, one of the key updates and key improvements is around collaboration. There's a lot of different aspects of collaboration, which I'll touch on in a while, but it has a lot of great collaboration features, regardless if you're using Word. Can everybody hear me? I saw a couple of messages. Am I too loud or too soft? Can you hear me? Okay. Just want to make sure. If it's going in and out, maybe it has to do with the connection. So, all right, great. So, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So, a lot of the collaborative features, it's available throughout different product sets. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, even Outlook. So we'll look at that. And another benefit, why you love it overall, is I use the term familiarity breeds contentment. That's not a typo. And why I say that is it's very close, it's very similar with the Office version in Windows. Some of you out there, you might be living two lives. What I mean by that is when you go to work, you use Windows. You use Office for Windows. When you come home, you use Office for Mac. Now, way back when, the previous version, there's some disparity between those two, but with Office for Mac 2011, it's actually very, very close and similar with Office 2010 in Windows. But not only that, the actual files, they work well together. For example, like Outlook 2011. Outlook 2011, you can actually take a PST file from the Outlook in Windows and import it to Outlook 2011 in the Mac. It works fine. So, I think that's another great reason why you love Office for Mac. Then last but not the least, it allows you to deliver professional and high-quality work, regardless of what kind of artifact you're trying to produce, be it a Word document, Excel file, PowerPoint presentation. There's a lot of great built-in templates and layouts and themes that you can take advantage of. Okay, so with that high level, here's a quick table. I know it's kind of small, but if you full screen this, you'll see this better. You'll find this table actually on the Microsoft.com/Mac site. Really, it just showcases the comparison between 2011, 2008, and even I think this is the 2004 version. What you're getting from one version to the other. Okay, but you can certainly find that on this URL. Thought I put this quick comparison there for you. All right, so let's get at it. So what are the 5 reasons why I love Office for Mac? And I'm finding more features that I'm liking, but these are some of the 5 core things that you'll definitely enjoy. One of the, I think for me at least, the changes that I saw is the usability aspect. It provides easy access to toolbars. This is what they call the ribbon interface. I can discover advanced options which automatically change to match the application function I'm in. So for example, let me go ahead and share my screen. So right now I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my desktop. And I'm going to fire up okay. So there you go. So there's my desktop. I'm going to fire up Microsoft Word 2011. So when I click on it, so first thing you'll see, in fact, this is what you'll see for every Office for Mac product when you open it. The first screen you'll see is the gallery. The gallery showcases a lot of ready-made templates and layout that you can use to get started with. So it gets you started. And then apart from the built-in out-of-the-box templates, you can click on the online templates and it'll tap in to online templates that's available on the Microsoft site. All right, so now let's say I'm just going to create a blank Word document. I double-click on that. So there it is. This should look somewhat familiar, but what's going to be different is if we look at this top section, right, in terms of the navigation, this is the ribbon interface I'm talking about. So the beauty of this is, I mean, certainly you have other options to interact with the menus. I can take advantage of the file menu, but it has easy access for me. So let's say I start, hello there. So you can certainly highlight it, and based on this ribbon interface, there's menus on, from changing the font to the paragraph to the different style, and I can insert, and I can even change themes. So it's just easy access. So a lot of built-in themes I can take advantage of. This one I think I can load up different artwork with a smart art, and also there's other different elements that we all should be familiar with. But long and short of it, this ribbon interface provides better usability and access to the tools that we can take advantage of in whatever we're working on. In this case, we're working on Word. So that's one great benefit. The navigation is much better. It's much more usable. Now, let me go back, talk about the next reason why you're going to I'm sorry, the chat room's just flashing on my screen. So easy access toolbar. So that's one of the great reasons why you'll enjoy it. The second reason why you love and enjoy Office for Mac 2011 is with the introduction of Outlook. So Entourage used to be the email client, calendaring, and contacts for Office for Mac. Now that's gone. So what they did is they took that same name in the Windows world, Outlook, and pretty much upgraded Entourage to Outlook 2011. And what are some of the key points, key new features that you can leverage in Outlook 2011? First, they have this feature called Conversations, which I'll show you. It's kind of similar if you're using Gmail. Gmail has a Conversations view. Now they brought this capability. It has been in Outlook Windows since 2007, but they brought this capability to Outlook 2011, the Mac, and have the Conversations view. You can import PST files. For those not familiar with what these things are, PST files are files in Windows that actually stores Outlook information. And the beauty of this is, if you're moving from a Windows environment to a Mac environment, you can take this PST file, which might have your email, your contact, schedule, and then import it to Office for Mac 2011. Then there's seamless OS X, Mac OS X integration. So for example, if you're running Time Machine, all the backups would work just fine. If you want to preview certain things, like this screenshot I have is the quick look capability with preview works just fine. So it interacts with a lot of native OS X applications. Now, let me go ahead and share my screen. And this time, I want to show you Outlook 2011. As you can see, I'm going back and forth between my slide and my screen. So just make sure when I show my screen, and if it's kind of small for you, feel free to take advantage of the full screen capability of the platform. So I'm going to give it a few seconds. So right now, you should see a Word where I left off earlier. So I've already pre-opened Outlook, just with respect to time. So this is Outlook 2011. It kind of sort of still looks like Entourage, but one of the key features I want to point out is let me leave it at that. So my email is arranged based on conversation. So I'm highlighting this one specific conversation back from Monday, and we're actually planning for the next SharePoint Saturday event here in DC. So the nice thing is it's aggregated all the conversation, the reply, the response by different people. And I can toggle through it and go through all the conversations. This way it's easier, I think, just to go through that thread of communication other than looking for it. However, you don't have to arrange it by conversations if you don't like to. But I really like this feature. It's been in Outlook for in the Windows environment for a while. And then we've got the calendaring capability. So there we have it. All right. Contacts. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, at least for now, because some of you might be thinking, well, Dux, okay, this is great, but I've got an iPhone, right? So can I synchronize my my calendar and my contacts with iCal and maybe the address book in OS X? At least for now, synchronization is only available for contacts and the address book. So let me show this to you briefly. Go to Preferences and Sync Services. So notice that I can synchronize my Outlook contacts and Apple address book and Mobile Me. But that's pretty much it. The calendar, there's no synchronization yet. If you go to the official Office for Mac blog, they talk about updates that they'll be introducing to provide these capabilities in the future. But for now, synchronization is only available between Outlook contacts and OS X address book and Mobile Me address book. Okay? So that's just one of the key things I want to raise around synchronization. What about Google Apps? Very good question. There's no native synchronization capability out of the box. I don't know if there's third party, but I know with Google Apps, I guess that's why you're asking, is with Google Calendar and Contacts, there's synchronization capability in the Windows world, but not yet. I don't think there's a connector in the Mac world. So that's that's Outlook. Let me show PowerPoint in a while. So let me go back to my presentation. All right, so now Outlook, right? Obviously, there's a lot of different other things that you can do and new features, but those are some of the key areas I'd like to highlight for you to think about and some of the benefits you get. The next thing I want to talk about is this whole idea of broadcasting PowerPoint presentations. Now, there's so much you can do with PowerPoint, obviously, but a key feature that was introduced in Office 2010 for the Windows, but now it's in 2011, is this idea of broadcasting your PowerPoint presentation. The world is your stage. You can broadcast your slideshow to anyone, anywhere over the internet for free, right? Your audience doesn't have to have PowerPoint to watch this. In fact, they don't even have to have a computer as long as they have a browser. Think about iPhones or iPads or any device that has a browser and watch the presentation. I'll show you how this works. What's going to happen is if you want to broadcast, I know, Kenny, it's a showstopper, but they're working on it. If you want to broadcast, it will generate a unique link for you, and that's what you send to your audience. Now, here's a little catch. What you're broadcasting is the PowerPoint slide presentation. Speech, your audio is not being broadcasted. So you would have to resort to at least have a conference bridge or use Skype or some other way for people to hear you. Okay? So let's if you have a Windows version, you can do this as well. All right. Let me go ahead and demo this to you. So folks, I know some of you have questions about not seeing the screen. So right now I'm going to screen share. All right. Show you broadcasting. So I'm sharing my screen. I'll give it a second, and I'm going to bring up PowerPoint. So right now, I have this sample slide. Everybody should see this. I want to make sure. You guys see it? If you see it, just put a quick note on the chat room so I'll see before I do this demo. Okay? All right. Good. So let's say this is, I just opened this sample PowerPoint file. All right. So let's say I'm ready to broadcast this. All I have to do, so from my file menu, I go to PowerPoint file, and I'm sure there's a little icon you can do this with. I can select share. Check this out, broadcast slideshow. All right. So when I click on it, a little wizard will come up. It will say, okay, how would you want to broadcast it? There's actually a couple of ways, but out of the box, if you use a PowerPoint broadcast service, this is actually a free service from Microsoft. And obviously there's your terms of service and whatnot. So when I hit connect, what it's going to do, it's going to connect to the service, it's going to talk to the service, and it's going to provision a unique URL for you. Provision a unique URL for you. Okay? Now, it's also going to take this file and make it available online. So it's preparing the broadcast. Somebody's asking, you run your own broadcast service? Absolutely. It has to do with Office web apps. If you have SharePoint 2010 Enterprise Edition, you can run your own broadcast service. But I'm doing this as a casual user, where I'm going to take advantage of what Microsoft is providing for me. So it's providing broadcast, and it should be done in a few seconds. There you go. And after this is done, what you'll see is it will generate a unique URL. And what you can do with that URL, certainly you can email it to people. There you go. Everybody see that? Share this link with remote viewers and click play slideshow to start broadcasting. So, in fact, I'm going to copy this link. All right. I don't want you to do it because it might mess up your Adobe Connect. I'm going to do it. I'll just fire up Safari here. Any browser would do. That's for my paste that URL. Okay. So now, this is, and I'll talk more about this feature in a while, but this is Office web apps. So think about Office web apps as Microsoft Office on the browser. It's just like Google Docs. But this Office web apps capability is actually free, and I'll talk more about it in a while. So what we're looking at is the web app for PowerPoint. So it says PowerPoint 2010 Broadcast, and notice it says waiting for broadcast to begin. Okay. Now let me go back to PowerPoint, and notice it says, where's my dialog box? Here, broadcast slideshow, from start or from current slide. So I'll just say from start. All right, now, can you all see my screen? Can you also see my screen? I just want to make sure.
Yes, we can, Dux.
Okay, so I'm broadcasting. So now look at the browser here, right? Check this out. So anybody can have this link. Again, any device. Doesn't have to be an IE browser. I'm in Safari. And as I flip through the slide, it will be broadcasted on this browser session. So I can do that, and yeah, the thing is when I hit current slide, it's going to take over my screen. But everybody gets the idea. So very, very powerful and very, very useful. Okay. So PowerPoint broadcasting. Is there eChat? No, this is just straight broadcast from PowerPoint. Because the idea is the presenter will be staying at PowerPoint and pushing out the slides as if they're presenting in a in a regular room presentation. Where would this be useful? Personally, I feel like if you're doing like some kind of live presentation in front of an audience and there might be remote folks coming in, so you can pipe them in through that and just turn on a conference bridge. So I mean, it's not like Adobe Connect where it's where there's more features, but again, it's built into 2011. You can take advantage of it. So yeah, broadcasting. I've used it actually a couple of times in internal meetings with my team. It's very useful. Next, let's see. Audio is separate. Yep, audio is separate for that. So, okay, great. So now, let's see. Let's go to the next slide. Visualize. So, okay, let me talk about that. I see a lot of questions. All right. What's being broadcasted is the slideshow. Okay. Some of you asked, Dux, what about transitions? What about videos? I think it's safe to say that those might not work, because I've tried a couple of transitions animations. Really simple ones kind of work, but if you go something more complex, I don't think it's going to be displayed appropriately. So just to be on the safe side, and I can test it some more, but I think only basic slide presentations would work just fine. What about audio? Again, as I've mentioned, the person presenting, the person speaking, the audio won't go through the browser. You got to have another way to conference in or broadcast your audio, like a Skype or a conference bridge. I'll look into it further, but as far as I know, what's being broadcasted is the slide itself. Okay. How accessible are the broadcast slides to people who use screen readers? It's being rendered as I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the slide, what you have on the slide. So just like any accessibility, I mean, if you have graphics or tables, that doesn't pass the accessibility rule. So I think it depends what's on your slide. Okay. Now let's move on to the next feature, why you might love Office for Mac 2011. And this has a lot to do with data visualization. Okay. And they have a new feature called Sparklines. And Sparklines, think about, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with things like pivot table and pivot charts where you can generate graphical information. Sparklines provide graphical information at a cell level. They're very tiny charts. And where they are useful is it gives you a at-a-glance insights into your data. It allows you to spot trends. Somebody's asking, do you know of a free phone bridge that is not too expensive? There's a lot out there, and obviously there's free services out there too. Certainly, you can do a quick search on that. So let me show you what Sparklines can do and the benefit you get from Sparkline. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again, and this time I'm going to show you Excel 2011, and fire up Excel. So here. So I just copied some data online, and this is just some tabular information of sales. So let's say this is our customer, right? Maybe, I don't know, I've been looking at some sample data, and I got this data from like a sample grocery store data where they have different customers and different products they sell to the customers and how much of it they've sold in the last 4 quarters. These are actually 4 quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So that's it. So I mean, by looking at this, fine, accountants might love it, but for me, if I want to spot information, for example, what sells most during which quarter, that kind of thing, for this sample data set, I can figure it out, but I have to look through numbers and especially if this is a big spreadsheet, it might take a while. So what if I can just put some kind of charting mechanism so I can spot right away, oh, there's the peak, there's the lows, and whatnot. So you can easily do that. With Excel 2011, I can insert these things called Sparklines. So when I click Sparklines, all right, I can select a data range for the Sparkline. So I'm going to take C to F right there. All right, that's the range. And I want to place the Sparklines on this G column. Overdid it. I already have it there. Okay. So when I click OK, notice I have a simple chart. So what this is saying is, oh, there's the peak, 2nd quarter, but just like all the other Excel capabilities, I could drag it down. Voila, I can see all the trends. Very nice. In fact, let me zoom this a bit so we can see it better. But what that does, and notice I can change different kind of, okay, pretty nice, right? So now I can spot trends and say, okay, oh, there's the peak, and I can change how these things looks, the colors. I can put markers, right? Show me all the high. Okay, so there's all the high. And I can go fancy with all this stuff. But imagine now when the data changes, this is not in Office 2007. This is actually in Office 2010 in the Windows world. So if I start changing the data, so let's say I sold $3,000 worth of stuff, whatever that is. Oh, there, you see how it changed right away, right? So again, for analysis, for spotting trends, Sparklines is very, very good. So if you're doing some kind of sales analysis, inventory analysis, monthly reporting type, and you just want to spot trends right away, very powerful feature, Sparklines. Okay. All right. Let me go back to my presentation here. So, has pivot tables been upgraded to match Windows versions? It depends what you mean by upgrade, Guy. In my experience, as far as what I've used it for in 2011, I didn't see any difference. So I use both Windows Office 2010 and Mac Office 2011. The pivot tables in Excel, the extent of what I've used it for, it's the same. So I'm not sure what you're looking for. Okay, so this is you can easily deselect data. I haven't tried that yet. I could try in a while. The 5th reason why you love Office for Mac 2011, and I'll spend some more time with this, is the idea of collaboration. So we actually saw a collaborative featured already earlier with the broadcasting of PowerPoint. So instead of just emailing that PowerPoint slide to a colleague and you do the old, okay, let's go to slide 1, let's go to slide 2, let's go to slide 3, I can broadcast it so everybody's on the same page, right? So really that's a real-time collaboration if you want to think about it. Now there's other collaborative tools that comes with 2011 in conjunction with other Microsoft tools. So what I have here says forget email collaboration. I'm not saying forget email, but come on, we're in almost 2011, right? Let's stop emailing stuff all over the place for the purposes of sharing information or having other people help us with information. With Office for Mac 2011, it works nicely with SkyDrive. It's a feature in live.com. It's free. SkyDrive is actually an online repository from Microsoft as part of your live.com account. You get 25 gigs, and it's more than just storage. I'll show you what you could do with it. Or in a corporate environment, you can have all the collaborative capabilities that SharePoint 2010 provides, and it works nicely with Office for Mac 2011. So let's check it out. So what are some of the things we can do? So I'm gonna show all of this all together so I don't have to keep switching my screen. In SkyDrive, obviously you can store your Office for Mac 2011 files directly onto SkyDrive from within Office for Mac. You don't have to go to the browser and upload it. From Office for Mac, you can just directly send it or save it to SkyDrive. That's one. Second, in SkyDrive, they have this thing called Office Web Apps. In Office Web Apps, imagine, again, you take Office and stick it in the browser. So what that means is for your colleagues or even yourself, if you're away from your desk, you're on a vacation, and all you have access to is a browser, and you need to update your Excel file or Word document, you could do it from the browser. Very powerful. And then you can also assign who can work with you on it. That's what you could do with SkyDrive. The PowerPoint thing I did earlier, that has to do with the live service, but kind of tied as well. With SharePoint 2010, it's your one-stop shop. So for those not familiar or don't know what SharePoint is a collaboration platform that Microsoft provides. And if you're in an environment where you have Windows Server 2008, you can get SharePoint Foundation, which is the base version of SharePoint 2010, and you can start using it. So imagine the collaborative activities you can do, like having a collaborative website, have all your files in Office for Mac 2011 stored on this SharePoint site, etc., and provide other data. You can do all that. Okay? So let me go ahead and start showing you all these things and the benefits you get from leveraging Office for Mac 2011, SkyDrive, and SharePoint. Okay, so let me go to PowerPoint. In fact, let me end my broadcast. So let me show you a couple of examples. So first, let me use Excel. Okay. So let's say I'm working on this Excel file. I'm good, but now I need my colleague to work with me on this, to collaborate, and have that person validate it, look at it, or update it, whatever. And instead of emailing this file as we would traditionally, forget that. Let me just go ahead and share it using SkyDrive. Okay? So it says share, save to SkyDrive. So once I do that, what's the prerequisite? Before you can do this, you have to have a live.com account. So what you do is you go to live.com, live.com, and you sign up for an account. And the reason why it didn't ask me for my account is I'm already logged into live.com. But if you haven't logged in, the first box you'll see here is it'll say log in to live.com. So I'm going to call this sales report. Cool. Save. And there's the infamous beach ball. All right, so now it's saved. So this file I'm working on is actually saved somewhere on SkyDrive, right? So the benefit is other people can access it and work with it, but second is when I'm out and about, I have access to it. I don't have to worry about checking my email and getting that file and working on it. Now, let's go to my live account. So this is Windows Live. Let me go to my home account. I'm logged in, and just like a lot of the other tools that other companies offer, Windows Live has email, messaging, photos, all that good stuff. But as I put my mouse over it, notice you'll see SkyDrive. When I go to SkyDrive, there is a default folder called My Documents, and you see that lock sign, meaning it's private, it's only for me. You can create new folders, you can make it public, whatever you want to do. So notice I've got a couple of files here. I've got that sales report that I just did and a Word document, which I'll show you in a while. So let's look at that sales report. So notice when I put my mouse over it, there's a couple of things it asks for. It says, you want to edit in browser, or you want to open in Excel, or you want to share this with other people and more features. So I don't want to open in Excel. So for example, if I'm out in a public place, I just need to look at that Excel report or Excel spreadsheet. I'll just say edit in browser. Now when I do that, notice it says here Excel web app. This is part of the family Office web app family of products where it's locked. I wonder why. Oh, I forgot. Because I got the file open. Isn't that pretty cool? It knows if you have the file open, you can't work on it. All right? So let me do that. Let me close this file. Let me hit back. Let's try that again. Let me exit out of Excel. Now I'm gone. Okay, let's try that again. Edit in browser. There you go. Everybody see that? Now, let's think about this. I can see it, which is great, but I can also work on it. So let's say I've got, let me work on another field. There you go. And notice even the Sparklines change. That's pretty powerful, right? It automatically refreshes. I mean, it might take a while, but look at that. Isn't that awesome? And just to clarify, you don't have to have Excel to do this. In theory, if somebody else was working on this and they don't have Excel, they can certainly do this. Now, what's the catch? Well, this is cool. This is powerful. But if I go to the File tab, right? Notice there's not a way for me to create a new Excel spreadsheet. So the idea is, hopefully you have Excel, you create the workbook, you publish it to SkyDrive, and you can work on it and collaborate with other people on it. So now, talking about collaboration, I can hit share. I can invite other people to help me work on this. Right now, it's only me that has access to it. So let me go to my folder. Go back. There you go. And let me hit more. Share. Edit permissions. All right. And then there's people. One second. There you go. So I can define who has access to it. Some friends. I can put the email. What can they do? Can they view files? Can they add files? So very, very specific as to the level of access you can provide to specific people. Now, another thing that you can certainly take advantage of is they have this feature called version history. Now, for those not familiar with that, what that does is it shows me, look at this. This is what Dux just did. Okay? Look at this original version when it first came in. Right? That's what it looked like. This is the current version. Isn't that cool? And by the way, when I open it in Excel again, I'll see the latest version. And I have the option of restoring the older version. Let's say somebody accidentally changed it, etc. So if you have colleagues working with you, by the way, their name will show up too. So you can pick and choose which versions you want. Very powerful. And you can do this for other Office documents as well, like Word or PowerPoint. Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So those are 3 things. Okay, so that's SkyDrive for you. I showed you Office web apps, very powerful. Direct. Let me show you SharePoint 2010. So what I've got here, this is that PowerPoint presentation I demoed earlier. So the same thing, let's say I want to share it, but this time instead of SkyDrive, let me save it to SharePoint. Now, these locations I've added earlier. You can hit plus, and you can actually add a SharePoint site to it. So I've got a couple of SharePoint sites here. Let me use this site. Let's just say okay. So let me hit save. Where is this going? This is going to a SharePoint site that I have called FC. That's one of the projects I'm working on, for example. And now when I go to that project site, I'm working on a project to open a coffee shop in Fiji. So I have a bunch of information. This is the project site. You have some project announcements. People can add announcements. And for those not familiar with this, SharePoint 2010 is fully compatible with Safari or the Mac environment, so you don't have to have Internet Explorer. But one of the things I want to show is when I go to that document library called Shared Documents, look at this, O'Reilly Demo. So from PowerPoint, I was able to save it directly there. And just like what we saw in SkyDrive, there's a lot of the similar capabilities. Like I can manage permissions, who can work on it or not work on it. I can edit it from PowerPoint, and it's already open right now. And another thing also that's built into SharePoint 2010, even the previous version of SharePoint, is there's this alerting mechanism where I can say anytime the document gets updated or changed, shoot me an email, send me an alert. Pretty cool. It's like any other alerting mechanism you know. So you can say, look, if somebody works on anything change or somebody else changes it, send me email, or even better, if it's that important, send me an SMS, text message. You can do that too. And you can also define who the alerts go to. That's what you call micromanagement, right? But and you can also specify the frequency of the alerts. And these are all out of the box in SharePoint 2010. And notice I'm interacting with SharePoint 2010 in my Mac environment. I don't have any of those stuff running. Okay? So if you want to learn more about SharePoint, I've done a bunch of webcasts around SharePoint. So just go to the O'Reilly Webcast page, and you can certainly see some of the other presentations I've done. But I really love this feature, the idea of improving and enhancing collaboration. So let's see. So there you go. Yeah, so improving collaboration with SkyDrive and SharePoint 2010. So with that, we've got about 10 minutes. I know I went through these 5 things quickly, but I just really want to show you how compelling these features are and how beneficial they may be. There's a bunch of other features. So for example, there's a feature called co-authoring. Co-authoring, I was talking to Catherine about this earlier, is you can say, okay, we're going to work on this Word document. Section 1, Joe, work on that. Section 2, Mike, work on that. So this co-authoring capability is really powerful. Literally, not only can you define who can work on the document, but you can work on specific sections in the document as co-authoring. For those familiar with the VB scripting capability that was taken out in the previous version, it's back. So if you're interested in that, you could do that, VB creating macros and whatnot. So you could do that in Office for Mac 2011. Good. How is all this stuff? Is it good stuff? So let me go ahead and address some of the questions we have here. Let's see. Charles is asking, do you run a virtual machine? Yes. The SharePoint environment that I showed you is actually running on VMware Fusion. But keep in mind, you don't need a virtual machine to do any of this stuff I've shown you. The presentation I did assumes all you have is a Mac environment, Office for Mac 2011. What hardware are you running on? right now I'm actually using a MacBook Pro 15-inch, 8 gig. I got this, I upgraded my MacBook Pro last June. So whatever 15-inch MacBook Pro at that time, I just had. But that really doesn't matter. The presentation I did now can work on any Mac environment, even older Mac environment. You have Office for Mac. Any plans to add OneNote? Tony, that's a great question. I can actually ask the product team and I'll find that out, but I don't know. Is it true that Outlook can only be used with Exchange Server 2007 and later? That is absolutely true. I forgot to mention that. If you have on the back end, if your company has Exchange Server 2003, Outlook for Mac 2011 will not work. You got to have 2007 or 2010 to connect. But you don't have to connect to Exchange Server. You can connect to any POP or IMAP. Like example I showed you, actually connected to a Google app email. Why is Outlook not available in the Student and Home Edition? I guess it has to do with licensing, Lynn. So I understand. Yeah, you got to get like the Outlook, the Office for Mac 2011 Professional Edition to get Outlook. I don't know why it's not available. Let's see, transitions, animations. I talked about that already. Is the broadcast protected anyway, so that someone have to enter a password, for example? Kara, that's a great question. As far as I know, there's no provision for that. And the likelihood of somebody stumbling into it, I think it's less likely because the URL they send out is some long, weird, random URL. And also, you have to have a phone bridge or audio bridge for that person to get to anyway. If they see artists. Yeah, it might meet. Not sure. I don't think there's a way you can provide like a password-protected broadcast. Why doesn't MS offer upgrade pricing? I don't know, Lance. I don't work for Microsoft, and licensing really. Yeah, I think you got to get a PhD to understand licensing. No, but kidding aside, I don't know why that is. Is the broadcast available only when the presenter is online? Absolutely, Lynn. The broadcasting capability in PowerPoint is the idea of live broadcast. So it's not like you pre-record a presentation and then you stick it out there. Does the collaboration facility support simultaneous typing the same document? This would be nice. Absolutely. That's the co-authoring feature I discussed, Timothy. So you can look it up. Just look up Word or Office for Mac co-authoring. That's exactly what it does. SkyDrive, Steve. So if I left it open at home, I'd be out of luck in the browser. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, well, yes, because it's the idea of you want to keep the integrity of the data. So what Steve is asking, what if you left the Excel document open at home, you went to work, and I need to access the Excel file. Yeah, it's not only true with Excel, but Word and PowerPoint. So, yep. But it's, it's the idea of protecting the integrity of that document. We're challenged with that with email, right? You email a template to 5 people, you get back like 5, 6, 7, 8 different things. Struggling what the latest one is, trying to consolidate all that. So if someone else has the file open, other people cannot work on it. Yes, however, if you want other people to work on it, Timothy, again, you can use co-authoring feature for that. How accessible are the broadcasted slides to people who use screen readers? I discussed that already. If I create a document in print layout, can I finally open it in the publishing layout to see and move text graphic frames? BJ, I'm not sure. I haven't tried that. I haven't done that in the previous versions of Office, so I'm sure I can certainly try it and find out. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Good. Catherine, there's questions if recorded. Yes, this is recorded.
Yes, it looks like you've answered all the questions, Dux, as usual. So, great job. I can't wait to try this Office 2011 for the Mac. It looks wonderful.
Great. Last question, Timothy. Yes, you can open Keynote files. Well, thanks, everybody. Hopefully you found this presentation beneficial. And don't be a stranger. I got my contact info here. Drop me an email, send me a tweet. I'd be more than happy to address questions you might have. But other than that, thanks for joining me, and thanks for being here this O'Reilly webcast.
Thank you, Dux, and thanks everyone. We'll send an email out in just a couple days. As I said, it'll probably be late Monday or possibly Tuesday with a link to the recording and instructions on how to view it. And I think Dux usually has a few resources in there too, so that's something to look forward to. And Dux, I'm also looking forward to your next webcast, which we haven't scheduled yet, but for people who've enjoyed this, Dux usually does one a month or so. So check back for that. And I also want to say one more time our sales pitch, the code FORECAST. It's a great discount code, one of the best that you can get. It gives you 40% off books and videos, 50% off ebooks. And the great thing is that when you use that, it helps support our free webcast program. We really appreciate it. That's right, FORECAST. The numeral, and you can use that in the O'Reilly.com shopping cart. Unfortunately, it's not good in the UK shopping cart or on Safari Books Online. But do we have a book on Microsoft Office for Mac 2011? I think we have a missing manual. I'm not sure if it's out yet. Let me see. Mary or Gretchen, do you know? Anyway, if it's not out yet, it will be out soon. So I think Gretchen is about to give us an answer. We're not. Mary's looking it up. Okay, January 2011. Okay. All right, so thanks, everyone. I'm going to close the room out now. Hope you'll join us again.